right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to our D3 match semifinals. It's going to be Fort Hood against OKC. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Sheila Adams, and with me is going to be Phil Cupins.
Hey Sheila, great to be here today. What a beautiful day in Austin, Texas. We've seen some amazing rugby today, and I expect we're going to see a fantastic match between the soldiers from Fort Hood. About 90% of these guys are active U.S. Army soldiers, so thank you, gentlemen, for your service. And the gentleman from Oklahoma City, I believe they travel the longest to make the trip here to Austin, Texas on this beautiful day.
Yes, I believe so. Fort Hood's approximately just shy of an hour, 30 minutes from here. OKC, they're going to be traveling a little over 4 to 5 hours pushing to get to Austin. So, yes, OKC had a longer travel. So
you drive fast.
I do drive fast. It's amazing. Cops have not hunt me down. If you are a cop listening, please do not track my vehicle down. Anywho, looks like Fort Hood is getting ready to kick off. Our ref is making sure everybody's on point as we're getting ready to take time.
And in the center today, we have Blair McClure, assisted by Joe Meyer and Ross Davies. Ross Davies, a former prop for Cardiff, played professional rugby for a very long time.
As we're waiting for the whistle, Blair's checking on everybody, getting ready to get the final signals as he's double checking with his touchline judges. Confirming with captains. And we are off. Short kick to the 10 and recovered by Fort Hood as they're setting up for their first ruck. Passing out. Quick takedown by OKC. Not necessarily contesting the ruck as they're passing it out. Great takedown from OKC. Fort Hood not able to gain too many meters at this point as they're doing their pod work. Quick trip right there. Again, not necessarily gaining any much meters right there. Quick pass off, tip pass. Again, OKC still meeting them at that same line that they have not gained past yet. Fort Hood trying to find a way to power through as much as they can. Yet another forward tackle this time. Got about a meter or two from that last phase as they're setting up again. Their number 2 plowing forward. Now starting to gain some momentum for Fort Hood as they're plowing through. Unlucky knock right there from their number 10. This will set up the first scrum of the day.
So it looks like Fort Hood's opting for just a smash it up the guts approach so far, which is interesting. I mean, it's kind of what you expect from these military sides, right? They're very fit, very physical, and Oklahoma City is going to get the ball for the first time today. We'll see what kind of action we're going to see today. A lot of experience on this Oklahoma City side. Aaron Bowen, this is a bit of a homecoming from him. He used to play at this ground when he was with the Huns, and he's moved up to Oklahoma.
As we're setting in for the scrum. Looks like this will be OKC's put in. Strong scrum set off. OKC pick. He swings out, finds a hole, kicks onto touch right there.
Yeah, this should be an Oklahoma City lineout.
Quick decision that was made. Didn't necessarily see the way that he can offload to that outside man, so he decided to go ahead and just kick. Setting up for the line out right now. Quick line out right there as he's running on to the catch. The number 6 takes it in. As they're setting up, OKC staying on their feet as they're now pushing through. As a penalty has been called against Fort Hood. And they're deciding to go for points. Quite a distance.
Yeah, this kicker from Oklahoma City was a place kicker in college, and I've seen John White slot kicks from well over 50 meters. So I think they're going to look to put some points up early here. And while he sets up on that, we can take you through the rosters. So for Oklahoma City Tribe, we've got Brendan Lubb, Stanley Padilla, and Jason Mullett in the front row. Second row is Robert Jenny and Zach Olson. Back row, Chris Maps, Jackson Williams with Bo Beckendam, who's been around for a while at number 8. Aaron Bones at 9, John White at 10. John's taking the kicking duties right now. On the wing, you've got Carl Martin, Billy Preston Walker. Midfield is Cole Nelson and Okie Clark. Fullback is Jacob Kennedy. On the bench for Oklahoma City, you've got Tyler Bromley, Kyle Gibbs, Julian Barrera, Nathan Treppenjay, and Zach Olson.
Very far kick. The kick is good. That will set up OKC first on the board. 3 points to nil for Fort Hood.
So Fort Hood's going to want to be aware of that leg of John White because it looked like it had plenty more gas on that.
Definitely so, and then not to mention the amount of height that it got too. It was still high up in the air, lingering as it went through the uprights right there. So great kick, great start off for OKC for this men's D3 match. As Fort Hood sets off the kick back off again to OKC. Making sure all their men are lined up. Great boot received from OKC to OKC as they're going to start a kicking game. Unfortunate hands right there, but it's fell backwards, so as he runs out the fullback. Still running off to the side rather than running forward. Met with OKC, eventually brought down. Fort Hood covers really quickly as they're getting ready for their pod work. Punctures through their game line right there. Quick swing out. Fort Hood is telling them that they want the ball. Almost tripped over one another. As the high tackle was called, or excuse me, coming in from the side was called, as OKC has to go back 10. Almost lost ball right there, but recovered by OKC as they pass out through their back line. Pushing through still, trying to find a hole, but didn't quite attack it quickly enough, met by Fort Hood men.
It looks like Blair's going to have a conversation with Ross Davies, so while they do that, let us introduce you to the Fort Hood side. Front row is Zach Mack, Russell Cox at hooker, and Daniel Tenielu. Locking is Brian Kotzat and Nathan Maurer. Philip Huff, Jesse Nelson, and Marcus Allen are the back row. Your scrum half is Tyler Brittles, Ryan Johnson at 10, wings of Jonathan Manoa and MJ Fetu. Midfield is Kyle Morris and Juan Lambera.
Chase is on for Fort Hood as there is a man on their wing attempting to chase them down, but their fullbacks realizing that they have better room. Almost slipped right there, but obstruction was called.
You'd expect him to go for another 3 here, Sheila. What do you think?
I would think so too, just to get more points on the board. Looks like I was right. They are going to go for those points right there. Why not add as much points as possible as early on to the game as possible to start off, then just to linger on.
That's right, and that OKC kicker has already shown he's got the leg. So while John White sets up for his second kick of the day, the Fort Worth bench is Griffin Simmons, who's also the coach, Daniel Tayelu, Leone Alofa, Fumatagi C, and Teddy Bear Teng, the best name of any roster here today. Teddy Bear Teng, I love it.
You can never go wrong. Looks like we are setting up. Number 10 taking his time, lining himself up for the 3 points. Ball is kicked, and the ball is good.
That ball landed in San Antonio.
That brings our score now 6-0 in favor of Oklahoma.
Easy, gentlemen.
Game is still early. We're seeing a lot of great things from both sides, both running and tackling from both teams, offensively and defensively. So still early to call as much as possible. However, Fort Hood is setting up yet again to kick off. There's been a few times where they were edging close to that try lane, but again, we're met with force by Oklahoma. And of course, those penalties are killing them. Both teams need to calm down. As the kick is off, nice catch from their number 9, OKC. As the kicking game continues, still in play, recovered by their fullback right there. Thought he can offload, but no one's there. Running sideways, met with OKC at the center of the field. Ball looks like it was stolen, as Blair called. Looks like OKC is swinging the ball out as quickly as possible as they can. Great carry right there from the forwards. Quick carries from OKC, as we see. Yeah. Slowing down the tempo right there for OKC. Met with force by Fort Hood, as their backline is signaling to them to go ahead and swing the ball out. Intercepted by Fort Hood. Looks like their fullback. Looking for support, not quite there. Flung it backwards. Still recovered. Their number 8. Able to carry the ball back to their midpoint. Poach attempt, but not quite there. Not many meters gained, probably 1 or 2, as the ball is pushed back out. Met with another forward. Barely punching through their mid-center of the field. Another penalty is called. Oklahoma has to go back 10. Give some Fort Hood a bit of breathing room.
Ryan Johnson finds touch for Fort Hood. Looks like Fort Hood's happy to punch it up the middle and try to make danger man number 15 Wilson Porter break the line, but so far Oklahoma City's defense has held up really, really well.
Definitely so. They're not necessarily hitting those holes as they were hoping that they would, because I'd imagine they have a very strong running game, but OKC reading their offensive line as much as possible. They're actually just shutting that whole thing down. So good job defensively from OKC as they're setting up for the line out. Stolen by OKC. Pass back. Set up for the kick.
It's gone directly. It should go back. Fort Hood will get another shot at this. OKC number 8, Bo Beckenham, also a former collegiate football player, played defensive end. He's been playing a long time. He's still getting it done really, really well.
As Fort Hood is setting up for the line out, they're inching closer towards their try line, so let's see what they can do, taking advantage of this penalty that they've been given for this line out. Stolen yet again from to OKC. Swinging it out to the outside line, almost intercepted, but picked up.
He's got help wide. Doesn't need it.
Getting up to their 10-meter line. Whistle was blown. Or no, whistle's not blown. As the ball is continuing. Quick offload. Oof. Strong counter from their number 3. Yet again. 2-3. Will this be number 4? No, it took the 4th person to try to bring them down. As the ball is swung out to their wing, number 14. This will be the first try of the day for OKC.
What a carry by tight head prop Jason Mullet. Holy cow. You see that come down the freight train. You don't want to get in front of that, Sheila.
Exactly. I mean, he took out he took out 3 Fort Hood players and was brought down by a 4th eventually. after that strong carry. And even when he got brought down, he was still carried forward. So that just shows you the momentum that, those forwards can carry, as I would call them power forwards. They can carry down the field. Great job for OKC bringing the total score 11-0 in favor of OKC.
And of course, the wing's going to take all the credit for that try, right?
Oh, no, of course. That's what backs do. I do it all the time. So it makes sense.
I wonder what kind of hair product he uses. It's important. Backs talk about that a lot.
You got to let the hair flow through the wind,
That's
I guess.
Right,
yeah.
Right. So not the easiest kick for John White here. He's about a meter inside the touchline. We've seen he's got plenty of distance. Let's see what his accuracy looks like today.
A bit far out to the left. The score will remain 11-0, as that is a tough angle to kick from to get to the uprights. So again, power was there, but strongly to the left.
Yeah, not a huge wind here today either. A bit of a left to right breeze, but nothing crazy.
Hey fellas, come on, communicate. Talk to each other.
It is a beautiful day here in Austin, Texas.
Looks like just shy of 74 degrees outside. Clear sunny skies out, just only a few clouds, nothing crazy. So yes, this is beautiful rugby playing weather for today. Hopefully we wish for the same for tomorrow as we approach the finals for all women's D2, men's D3, men's D2, and of course men's D1.
Yeah, that's a really highly anticipated match this afternoon between the defending national champions, Dallas Reds, taking a perennial contender in the Austin Blacks in D1 competition, and whoever wins that game today, Sheila, is punching their ticket straight to the Final Four. So that's going to be a huge game to cap off a beautiful day of rugby here in Austin, Texas.
I definitely agree, and then of course the potential of actually playing at the 15s finals in St. Louis, Missouri, I believe. Yes.
That's right. Yeah, going back after playing the Sevens national championship in the same area last year.
This is very true. So the Dallas Reds definitely trying to retain that gold and retain that hardware that they brought back last year, see if they can retain it this year. Fort Hood setting up to kick off yet again. OKC ready to receive. Kick does go on the touch. As we're going to see what they're going to elect for. Looks like they're going to elect for a scrum at the center of the field.
Nobody ever takes the re-kick option, right?
I rarely see it. I probably see it more during 7s than I do in 15s. Just because no one wants to waste that energy right off the bat. But hey, in 15s, it's just about dominance and just maintaining that possession and that momentum as they carry out. They want to have a strong start, and we're still within the first 15 minutes of this match. Again, kind of early, so Fort Hood still has potential to put some numbers on the board, as this will be an OKC put in. 13 on to 14 onto their wing. Wing is met with their 15, trying to find support players as he goes down. Strong counter ruck right there. Looks like there is a player down on Fort Hood as he's slow to get up. OKC, number 6, still holding up, trying to go down. A maul is called. Finally brought down. Kind of low. 15 onto the 13. This time to their outer wing. Looks like an easy score, so it's the edge right there for OKC.
Yeah, great try, but more concerning for Fort Hood here is their danger man and playmaker, number 15, Wilson Porter, slow to get up and getting some medical attention. Fort Hood will hope he's okay. He's one of their critical pieces. He's been doing a lot of their counterattacking. He's some of the best gains we've seen have come from this number 15. He's going to try to stay in the game, but he's clearly a bit shook up.
Yeah, it's those hard hits, definitely will humble you, for lack of better words. And again, these rugby players are very strong players, so they'll power through anything, but that just means that he needs to rely more on, those forwards and some of those supporting backs to make those tackles, so he's not doing a bunch of overkill on those tackles as the last Hail Mary right there.
That's right, and not a try, so it must have been a forward pass right before the try was scored, so Fort Hood's getting an opportunity to get out of their own end here. We'll see if they choose to exit. It looks like number 10, Ryan Johnson, set up for the exit kick. Wow.
Strong scrum from OKC as they're edging closer and closer to the try line. Try is given to OKC. Brings the score is 16-0. Looks like a few of the men of Fort Hood is struggling to get up. Again, these are strong hitters, and they're meeting those tackles pretty much body on. So struggling to get up, but they're powering through as OKC is setting up for their kick.
So the winner of this match takes on the winner of the Austin Blacks versus Arrows match being played on the field behind us. We'll try to provide you updates of that score for those of you listening at home.
3 minutes to the water break.
And due to the temperature and the sun, we will have water breaks at the 20 and 60 minute mark today, folks.
OKC setting up for their, again, wide angle kick.
Well struck, but a bit wide.
Again, those hard kicks from those wide angles right there, not easy to make. So again, went the distance, had the height, just was not quite there. So great attempt from Oklahoma right there, but not quite there. Score will remain 16-0 as Fort Hood approaches the center line to kick off again towards Oklahoma.
Kick was no good, guys. Heads up, gentlemen. Let's stay in their half.
Other way. There you go. It does. And it still looks like one.
Tackle made after kickoff. Looks like an obstruction call was called against Oklahoma. Fort Hood able to move the ball in their favor. Let's see what they can do or take advantage of this penalty. Quick kick to a pod. As they push through. Oklahoma staying firm. Not trying to let them gain any meters at all. Still rolling and counter-rucking. Able to get possession of said ball. Fort Hood now have to scramble to get back on the defensive line again as Oklahoma has gotten possession of the ball. Quick spin out towards their back line, but quickly brought down by Fort Hood. Penalty called against Fort Hood. Oklahoma with a good boot, pushing them down. The chase is on. Their number 10 attempting to chase the ball down with their wing from Oklahoma, bringing them down. Not releasing called.
Well, Oklahoma really putting a lot of pressure on Fort Hood here.
Yes, very so. As this will be a scrum for OKC. Great job with the kick and able to apply force right there. That shooter taking down their number 10 and making the tackle right there, making contact right there, not allowing him to gain any meters or trying to kick back. So great job for OKC defensively and winning the ball back in their favor at a very desirable position as well.
Wouldn't be surprised if we see an 8-9 pick here, which is interesting because the OKC winger's drinking water on the sideline, and he would be in this. Here he goes. No, we're going to go straight to the 10.
Swing down. Number 12 is aiming to get to the center. Held up. Called. Great defensive effort from Fort Hood. As they will go back for a scrum right there.
So that's our 20-minute water break, I believe. So we'll have water breaks at the 20 and 60-minute mark for the remainder of the matches today, as it's getting a little warmer here in Austin, Texas. But what are you seeing so far? I mean, it looks like, you know, Fort Hood's being really physical, but just OKC seems to be a little more complex. They're running really strong. They're using all their players, and they're really good getting over the ball and poaching some of these rucks and stealing lineouts. I mean, what's Fort Hood going to do, right?
I mean, exactly. I mean, we're seeing a lot of penalties that are applied against Oklahoma, and you would hope to see that, oh, hey, can Fort Hood capitalize on those penalties? But I guess they're getting shook up or too excited to where Oklahoma could pick it off, swing the ball out very quickly to their wings and or fullback, and they have a strong running game. And then, of course, we definitely see a strong boot from Oklahoma, too, as they're able to kick it almost down to their red zone territory for Fort Hood and apply that pressure as they run up. So definitely a running game for OKC. Defensive game, you're definitely seeing strong forwards in Fort Hood. As you mentioned earlier, strong, more fit men that are able to apply that pressure defensively right there.
Okay, and it looks like we're finishing up our water break here. We're going to resume play with a scrum to Oklahoma City after the attempted try was held up. That was a free kick. Sorry, goal line drop.
Kick is going past the midpoint. OKC taking their time. Fort Hood trying to make sure the defensive line is together as they're slowing down just a bit. Oklahoma trying to create a cadence for themselves as they're shifting the ball all the way down to their in line. Number 5 with the carry as they push through. Great tackling effort right there. Poach attempt from Fort Hood. Couldn't quite get there just quite yet. As Oklahoma's fighting to stay on their feet, eventually brought down. Ball's presented and pushed out by the number 9. Great grubber kick as the chase is on. But a penalty has been called. As they now have to bring the ball back. Again, Oklahoma is asking for points for the kick. Again, quite the distance. I feel like every kick that the conversion has been attempted, it's going closer and closer towards the 50. And we've seen quite the distance made from Oklahoma right there. So let's see what the number 10 can do. Again, if the ball is made short or if it doinks off the upright, the ball is still in play.
John White's pushed this one wide.
Height and distance was there, but as you said, yes, it was wide. The score will remain 16-0. Number 15, OKC, flings the ball out as they're met with opposition right there. Fort Hood quickly brings down OKC. The ball is swung out, take it in. As he digs through to try to get as much meter as possible. Flung out to the wing. Again, Fort Hood with their strong forwards right there, pushing through on those rucks. Ball is juggled, unfortunately knocked on Looks like it's happening just off the center of the field.
It looks like a penalty for a high tackle. They were given an option. They're going to go quick. Nope, just kidding.
The attempt.
Yeah, referee Blair Mercure is going to bring him back.
Quick kick right there. Wide pass to their number 12. Again, Fort Hood struggling to keep those men down. Remember, they have to tackle low, not high. Number 7 with the carry, but eventually brought down. Great effort from number 7 as he was still able to get some gain. Interception attempt, but a knock was called first.
Yeah, once again, that was number 15, Wilson Porter from Fort Hood, really trying to make something happen. He had an earlier intercept, didn't have a whole lot of support with him, but he almost had another one there, and it looked like it was clear sailing to the try zone if he did get his hands on that one.
Definitely so. Fortunately wasn't quite there as we're setting up for a scrum. Yet another one just off the center of pitch. The men are setting up for an OKC put in. Ball is put in. Not quite contested. The ball is spun out. Again, brought down by Fort Hood. Not many meters gain right there, probably about 5. Pushed out to the wing. Selling forward, dodging not 1, not 2, but 3 players of Fort Hood as he scores right in the middle. Score.
Like Oakley Clark.
For OKC. That brings our score 21-0 in favor of OKC.
It's really nice running by number 13, Oakley Clark, finishing his own effort with a try under the post, giving his kicker, John White, a bit of a confidence booster. John White's been striking the ball really well, just missed some of the difficult ones. You notice they had that penalty on the 50, and he opted to quick tap it rather than test his leg. I think he certainly has a range to make that kick, but missed some of those tough conversions from the side. So maybe this will bring his confidence back up, and we'll get to see a 50-meter kick from him yet.
Oh, yeah, definitely so. And not to mention directly in the middle rather than on the corners. Quick kick, obviously good. That'll bring our now new score, 23-0 in favor of OKC, as we were setting up for yet another kickoff towards OKC. Fort Hood struggling a little bit for those quick offloads from OKC, but they get in front of them. Obviously, like you were saying, Wilson Porter making those crazy efforts to try to intercept the ball. We almost saw that early until the knock-on was called, unfortunately.
OKC's moving the ball so well. They're playing a really balanced game. Their forwards are running really, really strong, opening up for the backs.
Great catch from OKC. That's a great carry. Pushing through number 7. Lunging towards the mid-center field. Great effort made right there. Dummy line was run as we're running it towards the end. Yet again, exploding that in. Attempt was made, but ball back up with the support right there. OKC edging closer towards the try line. Number 15.
Nice
Yet another.
Step by Jacob Kennedy, finishes it himself.
Great runs by OKC right there. Essentially noticing that they're exploiting that end of the field. The far left side of the field if you're facing our way. As they're able to come up, hit those lines, and then
Hang on. I'm going to replace
closing
one.
in.
We have no choice. Hang on. Hey. 19 for 14. 19. Hold on 1 minute. If you want to go into the centers, push one out the wing. Alright? And you take the center slot, right?
Number 10 setting up for yet another quick kick. Conversion is good. That will bring our total score now. OKC 30, Fort Hood 0.
It looks like Coach Simmons from Fort Hood's going to make some moves here. Coming on the field is Fuasia. We'll see who he's replacing.
See it. Looks like he's going to be replacing our number 14, MJ Fatu. Looks like our winger right there. Recovered quickly by OKC as he was met with Fort Hood men lined up right there. Looks like a quick kick escape right there. The ball's being chased. Not captured backwards, but carries through. Kicking game ensues. Another kicking game. This ball's there.
You guys have got to back up when they kick, all right? No, when he kicked, you guys were all offside.
Looks like an offsides was called against Fort Hood.
Back then, listen to the ref.
Yeah, Fort Hood's getting a little frustrated here. It seems like whatever they do, they don't seem to have an answer for OKC's onslaught here. It's OKC dominating this game so far, 30-0.
Back up, MJ.
Yet again, yet a good boot
Spoil in front.
from OKC. Again, edging them closer toward the try line again. Fort Hood does need to shape up and kick on their defensive game to get out of their red zone right now, as they're backing up further and further, towards their 22.
Hey, defense, inside out. Defense, inside out.
Line out loss.
Nicely done.
Fort Hood retaining possession. See what they can do to get out of their zone. Ball is kicked out and carried. Backhand throw. Thrown again, but no man there. Kind of getting desperate as they're keeping going backwards and backwards. Another penalty called against Fort Hood again. Yet again, Fort Hood is playing very frantically. We saw a couple frantic phrases that happened right there. That last bit as we're getting ready to set up for a line out very close to their try line. A lot of great rugby being played by OKC. Again, applying that pressure and putting them against the wall. The previous line out, Fort Hood did have an option to exit, but the opportunity wasn't taken. And of course, the frantic ball started being played. Maul, which quickly turns into a try for OKC. That brings our now current score 35-0. Looks like OKC is dominating, especially on that far end, as they're taking control and basically steering this game in their favor.
And that's the thing. I mean, Fort Worth's attack is just too flat. They got. If I'm their coach, you know, if I'm Griffin Simmons talking to these guys at halftime, I'm like, look, we got to get our shape on attack. We're too flat. We're throwing these desperate passes. We're not able to get anything going. Fort Hood has the physicality. They have the fitness. They just got to get some attacking shape. Now, in fairness, they're missing a lot of guys. A lot of their players are deployed right now. And most of these guys haven't played together very much. And you can see it in their structure. It's really unfortunate because they are, you know, they deserve to be here. They're in the playoffs.
Yes.
But you got to get a little more shape. You got to get your line a little deeper. The line speed from Oklahoma City is way too good to be playing these flat back lines.
Definitely, and I think we're also seeing OKC taking advantage of those flat lines too, especially when they attempt to go in. They're able to steal the ball or regain possession. So the ball is up Ball is no good. The score will remain 35-0. Definitely agree with you in that sentiment as far as maintaining depth and giving what we would call sympathetic passes to your teammates. You don't want to be frantic when you're throwing the ball at them and throw it to no man's land, as one would say.
That's right. Every coach we've ever had said, never give it to somebody in a worse position than you, right? Sometimes it's okay to take it in. If that support's not there, desperation doesn't usually lead to good results.
Definitely. So we're setting up again for Hood to kick off again to Oklahoma. Hopefully they can regain the momentum that they have shown defensively. Let's see if they can do it offensively. Shooter comes up. Great effort made. Again, exploiting that sideline as looks like that winger is going up the center. Number 23 offloads. Looks like to number 6. Number 6 still on his feet. Has the support. 6 still goes. Brings it all the way back to almost their inside their 22. Number 5 with the carry. Still on their feet. Lost the ball, got frantic. And recovered by Fort Hood. Let's see what Fort Hood can do. Exit kick nice and high up.
And they got lucky because there's no chase on. Fort Hood caught a break there with that box kick clearance, but no chase.
Yeah.
And fortunately for them, the OKC receiver lost it forward. I mean, look, Fort Hood hasn't hung in the towel here. They're still playing with tenacity and intensity.
Yes.
And they're making some good things go. They just got to correct their shape, and they're right in this.
I definitely agree. I definitely do agree. Because we definitely seen the physicality, as we just saw, that crazy shooter that happened right off the kickoff. They definitely have it right there. It's just a matter of getting their pattern into shape.
That's right.
Quick ball put in by Fort Hood and contested. Ball is out. Great kick. The far end right there. Looks like it will be on to touch. Again, great effort made by Fort Hood. Able to give them a little bit more breathing room. They might need one more exit before they can start passing off and doing hands and try to get it down the field.
Yeah, we're nearing the half here, so I don't know how much injury time Blair has on his clock, but you know, if I'm Fort Hood, I'm trying to get out of this half without conceding any more tries. I've got the wind at my back. Hopefully we can play a little possession rugby if I'm Fort Hood in the second half. But they got to get to the halftime first, right?
Yes. Setting up for a line out. Recovered by OKC. It's number 4 shooting up the center. But met up. Fort Hood's trying to set up to try to get the man on man. Tackles missed. Still on their feet. Number 6 still plowing through. Excuse me, number 5 was plowing through. Still being recovered. OKC still fighting for it. Penalty was called.
And OKC is just happy to run this at this point, I think. They're not even taking the 3.
They're so close to the try line. Number 3 plowing through.
And again, we saw it earlier. Nobody's stopping Jason Mall at that close. He brings us to 40.
Again, as you say, we are nearing the halftime point. Great effort by OKC right there. Again, the defensive end from Fort Hood is there. They're just not quite lining up and not making those contact tackles man on man. As we saw from numbers 4, 5, and 6 of OKC, they were able to penetrate those gain lines multiple times and eventually offloading off to number 3 of OKC, which allowed him to make that try right there. Through the uprights, score is good. Brings the score 42-0 in favor of OKC.
Okay, so I think we're in injury time here. I think referee Blair McCure just indicated we've got about 4 minutes of injury time left.
Fort Hood setting up yet again to kick off. Deep kick. Ball is swung out, taking their time. As it was kicked in by a photographer who had no business doing that. But that's all right. They're still able to mark the technical ball out onto pitch that was essentially kicked in by a photographer. But yeah, if you're on sideline taking pictures, please do not kick the ball in. I know you want to play rugby too. Put on a jersey and get set, boys and girls.
Fort Hood's got this throw. Russell Cox, who's played every position on the field this season. Former Marine, now in the Army.
Gone by Fort Hood. A little bit of struggle right there. Fake juke made by number 15, but met at the center by OKC, eventually brought down. Great effort right there. Not necessarily a good placement by 15, but that's all right. They're still able to recover the ball. Carry by Fort Hood, still just past the midpoint of the field. Penalty against OKC. Thought that was a clean poach, but it wasn't. That was carried in by Fort Hood. Passing out towards the end. Keep the ball in. Looks like there was a knock on that was made. Jesus.
And that looks like half.
Yes, it is half. So the score will be 42-0 in favor of OKC. So great things that we're seeing from both teams. OKC with an amazing kicking game, and not to mention running game as well too. We've seen them exploit that far left side and basically overtake the Fort Hood's defense and swinging it in towards the middle to score multiple times in the middle. Defensively, we're definitely seeing a lot of impact from Fort Hood, but unfortunately them not getting the pattern. OKC is able to exploit those simple mess ups and score on them multiple times.
And that's right, Sheila. I think if I'm Fort Hood coach, we said it earlier, I would be saying, like, look, we have to get our attack shaped. It's there. We have the opportunities. We just need the support, right? We're letting our playmakers go by themselves. Mm-hmm. We've seen number 15, Wilson Porter, carry the ball really, really well, but with no support. He's got no option but to get tackled. He's getting gang tackled by about 5 OKC players every time he carries because nobody's around him. So he's got to get support with him. They've got to play a little more patient. They've just got to get their depth on attack. Defensively, they're not doing terribly. Mm-hmm. They're getting exposed a little bit out wide because OKC is playing such a balanced, dynamic game.
Yes.
They're attacking up the middle with their big carriers. They're number 3, they're number 8. Jason and Bo, carrying really, really well. But the rest of the forwards doing a great job as well, earning the right to go wide, as they say, and they're exploiting that far wing. Balancing that out when it's not on, their 10, John White's punching the ball down, and Aaron Bone, their 9, is getting great service. So it's really tough to play against a team that's that balanced, but you're not helping yourself if you're sending single shooters on defense. If you're not creating that line, you're not coming up, and you're giving up silly penalties. It's got to be frustrating for these men from Fort Hood. But they do have the wind at their back now. You'd have to think they have the edge fitness-wise, with a little bit of, military bias there.
Yes.
These guys train a lot. And again, in their defense, they've got a lot of their guys are deployed right now. A lot of these guys haven't played well together. They don't even have 23 here. And it's unfortunate, but these men are serving their country, so we appreciate that, of course. Let's see if they can turn around. Would love to see them put some points on the board, but they haven't hung up the towel, have they, Sheila? I mean, they're still out there fighting.
They have not. They are still fighting. So hopefully during the second half when they come out, we can definitely see two new teams come and bring it. Again, OKC up 42. Fort Hood still in there. The game's not over. Let's see what they can do.
All right, and we're back here for second half action between OKC, who's leading Fort Hood, 42-0. An update on the other game going on behind us. The winner of this match will play the winner of the Austin Blacks D3 Houston Arrows, which is currently being led 24-14 by the Austin Blacks. Bit of a wind here now at the back for Fort Hood. Hopefully they can exploit this and get that goose egg off the board. They've been playing with a lot of tenacity and passion, just haven't been able to link a lot of phases together again, missing a lot of their players who've been recently deployed.
Definitely so. Looks like we're having a last-minute talks, last-minute warnings from the refs as we're getting ready to set up right now. Giving instructions real quick before we start the second half. OKC setting up their game plan as they're getting ready to kick off to Fort Hood. Fort Hood ready to receive as their captains respectfully are talking to Center Sir. As they're getting set up, we're getting ready to kick off as well. Doing the final checks. Getting our finals clock synced. And we are off. First kickoff. Nicely received by Fort Hood after taking off runs. Met with OKC. Strong run by Fort Hood. Quick ruck over. Fort Hood plowing again. Getting about a meter or two. Not quite the ideal placement on rucks. Again, as they're clearing those rucks right there. Diving in was the call for penalty against Fort Hood. Not how you want to start off the second half. Ball flung out. It's picked up from Fort Hood. Fort Hood running, not being touched. Dodged 1, 2. Still on their foot. 15 off Lawson, number 1. Met with OKC. Great carry from number 15 right there. From Fort Hood, making that power play right there. Great hands, swinging it off. Decides to walk in and taking down quickly. They can smell the gain line right there. Quick offload to the number 8. Number 8 met by not 1 but 2 OKC linemen right there. As the rec is set, pushing through. Fort Hood is still fighting to get to the try line. Needing to calm down, realize where they're at. Taking 2 men to tackle some of these big forwards right there for Fort Hood. Fort Hood yet resetting it again, getting it to full half right there. Taking down from the number 10. Swings out again. Poach attempt happens, ball is loose.
They've got the penalty. I think if I'm Fort Hood here, I'm looking for a set piece. I'm going to try to punch this in. I'm not interested in getting 3 points right now. And that's exactly what it looks like Tyler Birtles, the scrum half, whose day job is flying a plane for the U.S. Army. Blair's having a chat with assistant referee Ross Davies. That's an interesting looking dynamic. You got a former professional prop for Cardiff, Ross Davies, talking to the young and very good referee Blair McCure, who has just yellow carded the Oklahoma City player. It looks like it's their number 13, wearing 23, Oakley Clark, has come off for naughty behavior. So Fort Hood's got a man advantage. They're about 5 meters out. Let's see if they can punch one in.
Looks like there is.
Indeed they have.
Fort Hood officially on the board. OKC 42, Fort Hood 5. Finally on the board. This might be the momentum change that Fort Hood needs now that they're playing a man up. OKC got on a sin bin or a yellow card. So Fort Hood does have the advantage, just a matter of how well they can maintain the advantage and if they can exploit that loss of that one player. For OKC, they will have to work a little bit more and maybe have to be defining their set pieces a little bit more. Looks like the conversion is good. Score will be 42-7. Still in favor of OKC.
You gotta love that. You come into halftime down 42-0. You play. You're here. It's playoff rugby, right? Just
yes.
Turn it around. They punch it down the field. Punch one in. End up sending one of the OKC players into the bin. Don't tell Fort Hood this game's over because they don't believe it is.
I don't think so, too. Again, strong players that are on this field today. We're definitely seeing a lot of great things from both sides, especially for Fort Hood. It's just a matter of executing well. OKC kicking off. Again, good boot. Bit of a juggle ball right there. Ball passed backwards, holding the end. Touch judge Ross Davies said it was ball went on the touch and the ball play is dead. So they will do a line out right here. OKC line out. Again, they are down a player because of a yellow card that's currently being implemented. Easy take from OKC. Strong. Offload right there, but it's called a knock-on right there. Unlucky hands. That was not quite there for OKC. This might be the momentum that Fort Hood needs to actually continue
Now, Jason. Now.
to get the ball game in their favor. As they're playing for the scrum, this looks like this is going to be the first scrum of the half in favor of Fort Hood with the yellow card in action.
Hey, Jason. I didn't even look at it.
Scrum is set as it's put in. Fort Hood lost the scrum as it's picked off. However, penalty was called straight out.
Grade 9, grade 9. Go. Go.
All right, and it looks like OKC coach Horowitz is starting to make some moves. Maybe they're starting to think about tomorrow. They've got a championship match tomorrow, so I think they're going to start making some changes here to keep guys fresh, get some guys some playing time. Aaron Bone coming off the field after having played a great match. And replacing him is Nathan Treppinger.
Scrumming in again. Again, this will be Fort Hood's scrum yet again. Ball is put in. Yet another strong scrum from OKC. Offsides was called.
The referee, Blair McClure, rewarding dominance in the scrum. We're seeing more and more of that. And OKC going quick.
Catching Fort Hood off guard. Forward pass was called. Unlucky for OKC. Definitely seeing a bit of a dynamic change, but I don't know. We're seeing these silly penalties that are being made this early in the second half.
I mean, that's just it, right? I mean, you come into halftime 42-0, and you start that second half, you're probably joking, thinking about what you're doing after the game, talking about playing tomorrow, and then you get punched in the mouth in the first couple minutes. OKC needs to maintain their discipline. Fort Hood's a disciplined team. They're a fit team. They're not going to give up.
Ball is put in. Yet another strong scrum. Picked off again. From Fort Hood. Fort Hood still on their feet. Still going in. Finally brought down. Strong ruck, clearing ruck right there. Sloppy ball pass. Again, we're talking about sympathetic passes. Not quite there yet. Brought down number 12.
Like a basketball pass.
Yeah. Number 13 eventually dropped down. Strong ruck. Rucking again. Fort Hood. Fort Hood members are calling for the ball as they're pushing through. Number 1 still on his feet, still carrying forward. Pushing him down, eventually there. Finally got his supports a little bit late. Ball is free. Fort Hood had to think very quickly. Right there, ball was almost poached. Fort Hood is setting up. This might be the momentum change that they need. Don't want to speak too early. Fort Hood still making their way downfield. Meter by meter.
Look at this.
Clear go. Center touchdown. try for Fort Hood brings our score 42-12. Fort Hood realizing the game is still going. The game is not over until the final whistle has been blown, and they are realizing that this might be the momentum change that they do need in order to stay their heads in the game. So great job, Fort Hood, for that try.
Oh, wait, sorry. Oh, wait. Hang on. Hold. Oh, sir, hold up. Nathan, stay. Nathan, can you stay? Okay, Nathan, stay. So it's for 7. My 7 just got injured.
Coach, you want to use Mike? I got you.
Hang on. So instead of 5, it's 7.
You want to use Mike for the forward?
Looks like their number 9 Fort Hood doing a drop kick. Easy right there. Brings our now new score 42-14. Still in favor of OKC, but like I said before, Fort Hood realizing that the game is not over till the final whistle is blown, and that momentum definitely has shifted.
What's your number?
Conversion good, yes?
1?
Yes.
Thank you.
What's your number, Mike?
Looks like Leone Alofa has joined the action for number 7, Jesse Nelson on Fort Hood, after Jesse picked up an injury. And I think Zach Mack from Fort Hood, the loose head props, looking for a replacement. He's still on his knee. Time is off. So we got 2 minutes left on the card. Fort Worth taking advantage of that, scoring 14 unanswered points. Fort Hood right now trying to figure out the roster. Got an injury.
Fort Hood still setting up to receive. OKC waiting for the go-ahead from the serve to center. Blair.
No, 1.
As they're finalizing their roster.
Yes, that's good. We're all good. He's up. Brian and
So it looks like coaches are still talking to the sideline judge and our number 4, making sure everybody who's supposed to be on the field is on the field. Time is on as OKC kicks off. Ball does go back with Fort Hood, does retain. Brought down quickly by OKC.
And Fort Hood rewarded with a penalty. That's interesting. They got some momentum. They had some trouble with the line out earlier. They had the first 2 stolen, but then after that, they seemed to settle down. They are going to go for touch here.
Great boot from Fort Hood. Quite the distance.
And Ryan Johnson, their number 10's done a really good job with his foot so far.
Looks like about 9 meters from the center field right there. Great kick attempt right there from Fort Hood. Again, I do agree. Momentum change right there. Discipline is going to be a big factor in this particular game. 2 scores from Fort Hood unanswered.
So number 22, Zach Olson, just took the field from Jason Maps in OKC, and after his yellow card, Okie Clark's back on the field as well. So OKC back at full strength, but look at this from Fort Hood. Here we go again, folks.
Again, great carry from Fort Hood, able to push through, dodging multiple tackles, still carrying on through.
Just these sloppy offloads. You know, Fort Hood is carrying so well. They're getting 20, 30 meters on a carry, but they're going alone. And they've got to get their support with them if they're going to win this game. But, I mean, they're showing in the last 15 minutes of this second half that they're not out of this yet. But
right.
They've got a big hole to climb out of. And if they're going to climb out of it, they've got to get support with these runners because they're breaking down that OKC defense. They're just being left isolated when they do.
Definitely agree. Setting up that pattern, as you said. And then, of course, giving those sympathetic passes, not sloppy passes or hospital passes, if you will, to one of their teammates.
That's right. And OKC's made another strategic change. Number 10, John White, has gone to scrum half.
They're setting up. Double checking the scrum. Obviously, scrum is very important to make sure no injuries are occurring. Last thing you need is a neck and or shoulder injury in a scrum.
And it looks like the referee's teaching the guy how to bind. I don't know if I've ever seen that in a playoff.
You know what? Hey.
Like I said, Fort Hood's pretty low on numbers, and that's probably an indication of how low they are in a playoff game, being told how to bind on in a scrum. Have we seen it all?
I don't think so. No, you're absolutely right. I think that's the first for today. Scrum put in, quick ball out, but wrestled.
And look at this. Fort Hood gets another opportunity. This has been all Fort Hood in the second half. This is incredible.
Again, momentum has changed, and Fort Hood has recognized it. Again, I think the mentality is, and the discipline is that, hey, the game is still going. It's not over yet. I could care less what the scoreboard says. One thing that my coach always says is that the scoreboard is always 0-0 until that last whistle blows.
My coach always said, stop missing tackles.
That one too. That's that is definitely a thing that my coach.
To me, that's what he said to me.
Oh no, mine has said the same thing to me too.
And look at this. Fort Hood gets another penalty. I think they're just going to go quick and have a crack, and they do.
Quick offload.
Another penalty offsides. Here we go. This second consecutive penalty.
I mean, they have to restart that scrum like at least 3 times. So, yeah.
If OKC doesn't get their discipline, it's going to be another card.
And a bunch of unanswered points as well. Yeah. Taken in by the number 8, still on their feet. Support is there. Continue to punch through. Dodging multiple people.
And another try.
And yet another try. Ladies and gentlemen, that brings our current score 42-19. Great effort made by Fort Hood.
Now we're going to see another toe punch drop kick conversion from Fort Hood, right?
Another quick one, yes. Again, great attempt right there. Even a lost shoe, and the play was still going on. That just shows you the determination. You care less if your shoes are still on. We're going to keep playing. But also make sure you double tie your shoes or tape them down so they don't come loose, as they would say. Fort Hood taking their time before making the conversion kick. Fort Hood still taking their time.
I think he's waiting for his teammate to get his shoe back on before he takes his kick.
I mean, what a good team play, you know. Make sure everybody's shoes is on.
Well, if he doesn't run out of time, he's only got 90 seconds.
This is true.
There we go. There's a drop kick toe punch. And he's 3 for 3 with that unorthodox technique. But hey, if it works, it works.
There you go. Current score 42-21, still in favor of OKC. We have seen quite the dominance of the second half going towards Fort Hood right now. You never know. There might be a chance that a comeback could happen, and that will be one epic comeback as well, as at one point they were down 42-0, and now they're coming up 21 unanswered points.
And OKC going back to their bench. Tyler Bromley joins the action for big Jason Mullet.
Jason having quite the epic game. We saw a couple of tries made from his end right there.
Yeah, he's earned his break, hasn't he?
Yes, he definitely has. I'm pretty sure he still had more gas in the tank. Kickoff made, but made backwards. However, ball did. Touch judge did determine that the ball was dead at play. Didn't necessarily go out, but player did step on the touch, so the play is dead. This will be an OKC line out. And looks like the yellow card is back on, so we have a full 15-15 on field right now. Bit of a struggle on that line out, but retained. Fort Hood almost lost, but a knock was called. It will be Fort Hood's ball, and it will be a scrum.
I think we're approaching that water break pretty soon. Fort Hood making another move. This is number 3. I don't know if it's the jersey change or if it's front row coming back on. Daniel Teneleu, I believe, if the number is correct, is coming on for... I think that's Nathan Marr that's come off.
Looks like Sir called off the scrum to make sure everybody was okay. Looks like we're going to reset the scrum. Still Fort Hood scrum right now. They're setting up. OKC lined up, ready for the attack defensively. 8-man pick. Ball's covered down. OKC got another penalty reaching in. Looks like they are going to do an exit kick right there.
Gonna go quick.
Attacking the hole right there, very close. Great ruck recovery right there. Fort Hood still fighting over. Securing the ball, still maintaining possession as they swing the ball out. Ball is loose, but was called.
And it's a penalty. OKC going quick. I mean, it looks like they're getting a little nervous. They're probably not happy with how they've been playing. And you know, they controlled the first, second half. I don't know why they're just playing desperate now. Rewarded with another penalty, and Blair might have a chat with somebody here.
Looks like he's having a chat with one of the sideline judges to figure out what's going on.
Yeah, and then this, sometimes referees do this as a tactic just to calm things down a little bit.
True.
Let the teams just settle down. A little niggly stuff going in there that you don't want to see. So this could be a great tactic by Blair, just to get the teams to sort of take a breath, calm down, chill out. You know, we'll see if he's got a ruling or just a chat. He's bringing the Fort Hood captain Tyler Birtles in for a chat, but it doesn't look like he's going to the pocket. So I think, yeah, indeed, he's awarding the penalty. No card. Just a quick chat, settle everybody down. Let's get back to rugby. Great refereeing by Blair here.
Definitely great right here. OKC getting possession, gonna run the ball in. Not quite there. Knock was called. Looks like knock is going to be against OKC. Looks like they are playing frantic, despite the fact of them having the lead. Again, it's only a 2-to-1 ratio in terms of the scoreboard, 42-21.
And we've got the water break now. And again, I mean, you're up by three converted tries. You control the entire second half. Yeah, it's been all Fort Hood and the second half, but you're still up 3 tries. Calm down, stick to what got you here.
Yes.
But again, credit to Fort Hood. These guys are not giving up. They're not going away. They're clearly fit. You know, they're playing with the same speed and intensity they have been. They just need to put it together. And again, unfortunate for them. They're missing a ton of guys on deployment. We get that, respect that. This game's not over. And at halftime, you would have thought it was completely over. But if Fort Hood does the same thing that they did in the first 20 minutes of the second half, we're going to have a tie game at the end. This is incredible.
I definitely agree. Definitely agree. I mean, we're definitely seeing some great things. From both sides, we are seeing a lot of frantic play, which obviously we don't want, which I think that was a good call from Blair to just, take the time to talk to the touch judge just to calm everybody down, maintain order. The last thing you want is chaos happening on the field. That's how injuries do occur. So hopefully both teams, with the water break, with that small break prior to the water break, both teams have the time to take a deep breath, revisit what their game plan is, and most importantly, try to dominate the last 20 minutes of this match.
And Bo Beckenham has come off the field for OKC. Incidentally, my last play of my career was involved being tackled by Bo. In a sevens championship, it really was. I offloaded the ball, got tackled by Bo. I think we won the game, but that was Bo was part of the very last play of my career about 1,922 years ago.
Oh, got it. Okay. I'd imagine words are still being said.
He's a great guy. Bo's a wonderful guy. But he's been a good friend of mine for many years.
Offload on Fort Hood. So pushing through, attempting to strip the ball, but still on their feet. Offload, quick on their number 15. Still maintaining, eventually brought down. Poach is attempted, but not successful. Fort Hood met with at least 4 OKC players. Ball pushed out.
Fort Hood's playing league. They're playing league rugby. Flat attack, straight at the defender. There you go. That's the kind of lines we've been wanting to see from Fort Hood.
There you
pays
go.
Off. But now they're slowing the ball again.
Lead them on again. Don't ever catch the ball flat-footed. Run up to the ball.
But they're rewarded with a penalty. And a second one. See, look at this. OKC is getting frustrated. They're starting to back chat. They just got marched off. They're losing their discipline.
Pushed all the way back to the center part of the field. Fort Hood taking advantage. Plowing through the middle of the field. Brought down by 2 players. Number 15 of Fort Hood placing the ball. Ruck is set. Quick ball is made. We're seeing a bit of an overcast, so no sun is beaming down on anybody, so it looks like everybody's regenerated. Fort Hood still plowing through. OKC contesting those rucks. So they're getting frustrated. Fort Hood still pushing through. Setting the balls up. Quick offload to number 19. You're hearing the coach on the sideline yelling to provide the support. Ball was out, but it was knocked.
We got white 4 off, white 4 off.
All right, enjoying the action. For replacing Brian Kotzat for Fort Hood is number 22, Teddy Bear. Teddy Bear Tang. That is the best name I've ever seen on a roster.
OKC will take advantage of the scrum right now.
He's got great hair, right? Teddy Bear, look at that.
I mean, flowing hair. Yeah, of course.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's got a mullet, but kind of a clean cut thing. I'm not sure that's within military regs, but I like it.
Hey, whoever his commanding sergeant is, he could take it up with him. Looks like we are setting up for a scrum. OKC scrum. Their number 10 telling them what to do. Scrum is set. Strong push this time from Fort Hood. Isolating that hole.
Uh-oh.
Number 20 from OKC. Hitting those holes.
Take it to the house.
I don't know. This might be the shift change that OKC needed. They were struggling a little bit, giving up 3 tries to Fort Hood, and now they're able to score their first try of their half. So far, Fort Hood is still dominating the second half, but maybe that water break is what they needed to take the time to settle down and regroup, figure out what their game plan is, because it was sloppy rugby at first, but it looks like they're getting into shape.
I mean, look, that was just a great line by Julian Barrera. Finished himself, stepped 3 dudes to put the ball down in the middle. And again, you know, to your point, Sheila, I mean, maybe that's what OKC needed to sort of settle themselves down, remind themselves they are up in this game. They control the entire first half. But that was a brilliant individual effort from Julian. Ran a great line, found the gap, stepped his opposite, stepped to 15. 10 couldn't cover. Scored on in the post. Easy conversion for John White.
Brings our score now. OKC 49, Fort Hood 21. Just shy of 20 minutes left of the second half, 20 minutes of the game. Again, the game is not over. We've seen some tremendous gameplay from both teams, Fort Hood and OKC.
I mean, if you just tuned in for the second half, you'd never think OKC was winning this game by 49 points. I mean, they were so dominant in the first half, but Fort Hood scored 21 unanswered. It's been all Fort Hood all the second half until this brilliant effort by Julian Barrera just a few seconds ago. But, you know, Fort Hood's still fighting.
Yeah. Fort Hood setting up to kick off. Decent boot. Fort Hood looks like it's going to roll off the backside of the pitch. Looks like they're going to elect to do a scrum in the middle of the field in favor of OKC.
See the hands on the hips and the frustration by the kicker there. I've been that person once or twice myself. I've played most of my career at 9 and 10, and sometimes those kickoffs that got the back, you're just like, oh man, sorry everybody. I feel like you've let 14 guys down. It's all right, Ryan. Happens to the best of us.
Setting up for yet another OKC scrum. Number 10 putting in. Quick feed, but strong pushes from Fort Hood, which is definitely a change. Hunted down. Ball is lost but fumbled off hands. Great pressure applied by Fort Hood. Deciding not to contest against the ruck, which is smart. Bit of a delayed reaction, but met with Fort Hood. Fort Hood still fighting. Fort Hood's attempt ended up pushing back yet again. Fort Hood is still in the game. OKC trying to find their out, but yet met with opposition, only gaining probably like half a meter right there. Strong hits are being made from both sides with the attempt to swing out towards their back line, exploiting that back line. No. Number 5 met at the end, but back on their feet, fighting now. Literally inches, mere inches. But score was eventually tried, or try was eventually made right there. Great effort made by Fort Hood, especially on the other side of this 50 right here, nearly in front of us.
But again, that's what OKC was doing the first half, right?
Yes.
Banging up, sucking the defense, earn the right to go wide, play disciplined ball. They were calling their cadence, calling their sequence, and then it opens up for the backs. It's what got them here. They finally got back to it. They got away from their game plan for about 30 minutes, and now they're back into it. And that's the old saying, right? You have to earn the right to go wide.
To piggyback on what you were saying, one thing that Fort Hood did not do defensively was look up. They were sucking in to what was happening in front of him with the rucks and the scrums instead of just looking up and manning up.
Yep.
And again, once again, Oklahoma was able to exploit that open end right there, which allowed them to not only attack that weak side but score up the middle. Looks like that conversion was good. That brings our total score of 56-21, still in favor of OKC, with approximately less than 10 minutes on the score, or on the time.
And joining the action for OKC is Kyle Legs Gibbs. He's been playing for a long time. He's getting up there in age and got a family, but this guy was an incredible player, phenomenal sevens player in his day. It's great to see him still out there playing rugby and having a good time.
What number is he wearing? 10. What number is 10 wearing? He's wearing what?
Fort
10,
Hood with
10.
a kickoff. Great received right there, taking their sweet time to kick back.
Or something.
The chase is on as the ball is still in play.
I think he was going for a 10-22. What a kick.
He wore a different jersey because they couldn't fit him.
Met up with their number 14, still dragging on. Oklahoma pressuring Fort Hood into their side of the field. Fort Hood with the attempt right there. Was able to not get any gainage right there. Swinging out, plowing through, strong force right there. Ball was out. Teddy Bear with the carry, but Teddy Bear was not able to get any feet on there.
Can't do that to Teddy Bear.
That was a Teddy Bear. Another Fort Hood carry. Slow to cover the ruck right there. Ball is technically out.
Hey, get in there.
Fort Hood still fighting, but Oklahoma is fighting even harder. Ball is out.
Go, Bear, get there. Clean up.
Great tackle bait by Fort Hood.
That's Russell Cox, the Marine impersonating a soldier.
Ball is kicked in. Chase is on, but ball goes on to touch.
And there's a quick line out. Let's play on.
Smart
kick and
read.
chase.
Fort Hood having pressure applied to them, basically backed into their try zone. Oklahoma scoring that quick try right there, taking advantage of no one rucking over number 15. Puts our score 61-21 in favor of OKC. Looks like the last 5 minutes as we're getting set up for the conversion kick for OKC.
I mean, it's just too much for Fort Hood. I mean, you know, they came here shorthanded. OKC brought some guys off the bench that when they got back in their pattern, Sheila, it was just too much. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, Fort Hood started the second half incredibly well.
Yes.
It's awesome to see that. They never quit. They never gave up. But, you know, they're missing a bunch of guys. OKC settled back down, got back into their pattern, and refound the dominance that they had in the first half. I mean, they're going to have a really, really good game tomorrow against the winner of that Austin Blacks Houston Arrows match, and we'll see if we can get our viewers an update of that score as well.
Definitely so. With that good conversion, that brings our new score 63-21 in favor of OKC. Again, the last 5 minutes of the match as they're inching closer and closer.
We got a dance party going on the other sideline.
Oh, Lord, yes we do. All right, the things you see at rugby matches. Though we did see a dancing type deal back in 2021's Sevens Championship. That was very interesting in Seattle, Washington.
That's right, I remember that.
Fort Hood carrying in. 9 is in. Looks like there is an injury on OKC as they're on the ground.
Right, you hate to see that at this stage of the game.
Slow to get up. Fort Hood still fighting. They're plowing through their inner 22. Support is there from both sides. Bit slow to set the ruck though.
I mean, this is what I love, right? You're down by 42 points, but you're not quitting, right?
Exactly.
These guys from Fort Hood, they're still attacking. They're still carrying hard. Gave up a penalty. I mean, look, they're still getting back quick. They're playing with a lot of pride and honor, and I respect that. Getting a little bit frustrated though. Blair puts them in their place, marches them off another 10. Is OKC going to go quick? Huh.
Looks like Blair did not allow them to. He wanted to make sure that the mark was set properly. Again, OKC running with one hand on the ball, eventually caught as they're able to get that whole meterage right there. Strong carries from OKC, eventually brought down by Fort Hood at the corner. Fort Hood still fighting on the defensive end, was able to get the ball, but penalty was called. OKC capitalizing and scored yet another try. Brings their score OKC 68, Fort Hood 21.
It's an interesting decision when you're up by so much to quick tap. I'm not sure if I'm the other team that I would feel too good about that. Usually you see teams when they've got a big lead this late in the game.
Yeah.
You know, maybe make some different decisions. But, you know, to be fair, OKC doesn't want to lose their momentum going into tomorrow. They've got a huge championship match, and
definitely agree.
They want to leave on the front foot with some confidence.
So it looks like we are at time on this game. Conversion has been made. Again, the winner of this match will face the winner of the match that just concluded behind us for tomorrow. We do have it confirmed for the women's D2 match. It will be the Harlequins from Dallas, Texas versus the women from Little Rock, Arkansas. They'll be playing for their finals tomorrow, and we will have the final times for that. And we will be getting updates for the D2 in just a moment for their men's finals.
This screen just went blank.
There you go. Kickoff occurs. Fort Hood, unfortunately, unable to maintain possession. Quick offload to OKC as they're traveling through. Fort Hood still fighting within the last 2 minutes of the match. Trying to continue the ball of play. OKC spins out as Fort Hood still fighting. Ball was juggled not once but twice. Offsides was called. Fort Hood has to go back. OKC taking their time to start the penalty. Ball is out on the touch as we are moving the teams over. Again, according to our clock, we are over time.
Yeah, I'm kind of wondering why we're still playing here at this point. I mean, you don't see this kind of injury time with this kind of score line. Usually maybe Blair must have had some stoppage on. He's not at 80 yet on his clock.
Yeah. OKC setting up for their line out. Again, they're basically edging close to their try line. Fort Hood scores it. but unfortunately, it was not called in straight.
It must have been up early because it was OKC's throw. They go quick again.
Shifting off, nobody there. Unsympathetic pass is made. OKC still maintains possession as they're pushing through. Fort Hood fighting, was able to maintain possession. Fort Hood getting possession, excuse me. As 1, 2, 3, 4, what was 5, now 4 men bringing down one Fort Hood player. Fort Hood still fighting to end on a high note. Quick rut was set for Fort Hood.
You really got to respect Fort Hood's fight. I mean, being down by 50 points, and they're still fighting as hard as they were in the first minute.
Of course. Yelling at each other to get with one another. Ruck was set quickly as the carry was happening. Still pushing through, still on his feet. With slow feet, but still going.
Another penalty.
Penalty called. Looks like entering from the side. OKC losing that penalty right there. Again, ladies and gentlemen, we are over the 80 minutes. Fort Hood still plowing through.
A strong carry here by number 17. Daniel Taneyelu.
Fort Hood still fighting through, still on her feet. Being brought around, support is there.
Fort Hood wants to finish this with a try.
They sure do. Penalty was called. Blair calling time to talk to their touch judge real quick. Again, a line.
I mean, I'm 5 minutes into injury time with a 49-point differential. I'm not sure why we're still playing, to be honest.
Yeah.
And that kind of stuff is what happens. Teams get frustrated. And
you know, one thing that I've heard from one of my teammates is, you know, you got to play, get in the mindset of playing 85 minutes, not just 80 minutes.
For sure.
Looks like Blair's calling it right now.
There it is.
Game is called. Oklahoma 70, Fort Hood 21. Fort Hood will advance to the finals. We will get Oklahoma City will advance to the finals. We will get the update from the other D3 match in just a moment to see who they face tomorrow. Again, confirmed update, women's Lady Quins will be facing Little Rock tomorrow morning for the women's team. And then...
And Oklahoma City will be taking the Awesome Blacks on in the championship tomorrow. Thanks for tuning in, folks. For those of you watching online, stick around. In about 15 minutes, we're going to have the defending national champion, D1 national champions, Dallas Reds, take on the perennial contender, Awesome Blacks. And thanks. If you're in the Texas area, come and join us tomorrow in Austin. It's going to be a beautiful weekend. It's wonderful rugby.